Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix our country together. And that's the premise of this video. I have a basic question. Are we at war with ourselves? Do we have an executive branch versus executive branch civil war brewing between the executive bureaucracies and the White House? The AG, the FBI director? Because what we're about to talk through is all the different individual pieces that we can kind of piece together to say there's something seriously wrong. And then I'm going to bring up a clip from Glenn Beck where he brought up the exact words civil war. What we're about to cover, we need to address and we need to figure out for the betterment of our country. That's why we do everything on this channel. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on if you are down with that mission. Everything's always linked in the description box. Let's get into this. We've got to talk about exactly what Glenn Beck just introduced. Okay, so some backstory. Glenn Beck introduced this yesterday in light of the whole, Epstein file thing. This is a very interesting point because so far we have an FBI and we have a CIA point of which we've covered all of it on this channel this week. Okay, I'm going to go to his clip, have him introduce his point, and then I'm going to supplement it with facts. And you guys tell me if we have a serious problem that we need to address. Let's get it. Of course, this is Glenn Beck yesterday.
FBI and Department of Justice bucking the orders of the president and their direct bosses. There is no other way to describe it. If that is true, there is no other way to describe it than you have a department or two departments under the president that are in complete rebellion. And that would have to be, that's not something you take a Doge scalpel to. That's something you take an axe to and you cut it out, because that's a cancer, and it is a rebellious cancer, and honestly, a civil war against the president and his duly processed appointees.
Okay, valid point. By the way, you can throw the ATF in their way that they constantly go after our gun rights in this bucket as well. The common thread here is all three of these are executive bureaucracies that are basically underneath the president for the law enforcement branch in the United States government. If we have an open rebellion, like for example, right here, and we covered this yesterday. Excuse me, let me get this one. This is the actual letter that Pam Bondi sent saying that the FBI in New York is completely ignoring all of her orders around the Epstein files. So we have a sub-branch in New York who's just going to ignore the Attorney General's orders. That's like 2 levels up the chain. The only step above Pam Bondi is the president. Okay, so if we have that going on in the FBI, that's not cute. We have this, which we covered yesterday, around the whole investigation around James Comey and the honeypot investigation. Watch this.
Planned to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign by using 2 undercover agents in a so-called honeypot operation?
Incredible.
Todd Pyro joins us with details. Todd.
This is big. Under the leadership of new FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, the Bureau has reportedly launched an investigation into the agency's plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign using 2 female undercover agents. The Washington Times reporting that the program was launched in 2015 by then FBI Director James Comey. The honeypot scheme was actually kept off the books, and according to a whistleblower, Comey's investigation was separate from Crossfire Hurricane.
Okay, I don't need to relitigate this because I already did a video on it. You guys can go watch it back in the past. But if you're talking about something where the FBI director targets a presidential campaign and a candidate for president of the United States with a honeypot operation and it's purposely left off the books, okay, well, that was in 2015. Now we've got this that happened yesterday with the Epstein stuff with Pam Bondi. Okay, the FBI clearly has some issues, and that kind of goes to the point that Glenn Beck put out there. What kind of issue do we have? Now filter in and layer in the ATF stuff, and then we're going to get to the CIA in a second. Now I know, and this is my little disclaimer, there are good people looking to further the aspirations of the country and protect the country in all of these organizations. I would venture to guess 99% of them, of the people inside the FBI and the CIA who want the country to be safer. But there's clearly an element inside these executive bureaucracies that genuinely want to put their interest over the executive demands. That kind of points to something that is a very large issue. And to Glenn Beck's point, this is not something you take a scalpel to. This is something that you take an axe to and you cut off the infected tissue. That's what he's talking about. Now, in the gun world, where we live mostly and primarily, you could look at the ATF or you look at the NFA with the ATF enforces, the Gun Control Act. You can go through all these things that the gun world is reliant on the ATF to determine if they can live or not, right? But it's the same principle. What is the founding document? What is the Constitution? What is your oath? Are you putting your desires in front of the constitutional mandated oath and requirement that you took? That's the point. So I've shown you the FBI. Again, there's good people in there. But when you look at all the things that we're seeing, there are problems that we need to address. Now, here's something else that I covered a couple days ago. This was from February 24th, how Trump's government cutting moves risk exposing CIA secrets. And this entire thing, I'm going to show you a few highlighted points. Check it out. And on the CIA's 7th floor, home to the top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. This is all a might and a hypothetical. This is something that they're concerned about. These individuals have not threatened it specifically, but it is a concern. Let's keep going. Fired employees create security risks. Meanwhile, as the CIA weighs staff cuts, current and former intelligence officials say the mass firings could offer a rich recruitment opportunity for foreign intelligence services like China or Russia, who may seek to exploit financially vulnerable and resentful former employees. The Justice Department has charged multiple former military and intelligence officials for providing U.S. intelligence for China in recent years. That's the premise of another video that we did. Well, look right now, CNN just came out with this article. U.S. intel shows Russia and China are attempting to recruit disgruntled federal employees. This one came out on February 28th. That is today. Guys, if we are in a position in our country where we have the FBI director who has done things off the books in order to entrap a presidential candidate in their campaign, we have Tim Pool is the one that posted this. We have the Attorney General saying the New York FBI field office did not give her what she wanted and they hid things from her. You have the CIA leadership expressing concerns that it might create an environment that will basically risk CIA secrets of the country. And now you have more articles that are coming out saying Russia and China are lining up to take advantage of it. Guys, we have a serious problem in our executive bureaucracies. Not to mention all the stuff that we always talk about with the ATF. I mean, look at the article they're referencing here. Foreign adversaries, including Russia and China, have recently directed their intelligence services to ramp up recruiting of U.S. federal employees working in national security, targeting those who have been fired or feel they could be soon, according to 4 people familiar with recent U.S. intelligence on the issue and a document reviewed by CNN. Russia and China are focusing their efforts on recently fired employees with security clearances and probationary employees at risk of being terminated, who may have valuable information about U.S. critical infrastructure and vital government bureaucracy, 2 sources said. At least 2 countries have already set up recruitment websites and begun aggressively targeting federal employees on LinkedIn, 2 of the sources said. Guys, NCIS is on this. Let me wrap this up and then I'll tie this all together. The adversaries think the employees are at their most vulnerable right now, another of the sources said, out of a job, bitter about being fired, etc. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to see that these cast-aside federal workers with a wealth of institutional knowledge represent staggeringly attractive targets to intelligence services of our competitors and adversaries, a source familiar said. It looks like we have a very serious problem. Whether you input the ATF and the overreach and what they do, whether you put the FBI in here, you put the CIA in here. Guys, we have ample evidence of the executive bureaucracies bucking the system and bucking the AG and the FBI director and the President of the United States. We have a, in my opinion, very serious problem. But I'm curious, am I blowing this out of proportion? Am I making this up? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.